It took a lot of discipline for me to save my first $10,000, and I was really afraid of going broke because what I saw was whether you had a job or you didn't have a job, people were still broke all around me. So I started to say I'm broke even though I had $10,000 for the first time ever in my life. And that's was just because I didn't want to spend the money. Now, I knew people that basically they knew how to make money but not save it. People that knew how to make and save but not grow it. So in this video, I'm gonna teach you exactly how to be disciplined with money in a way that you're gonna have it in your pocket, you're going to keep it in your pocket, you're going to multiply it, but most importantly, you're not going to go broke, which I know a lot of people are afraid of, and I was also afraid of this also when I first started, doing this whole financial thing. Let's get right into this video. Now, the very first thing I did was I started to make a distinction between my money. I used to basically mix all my money together. I get paid, it's all in one account, and I don't know what would happen between Friday, payday, and Wednesday, just basically waiting for my paycheck because guess what? I had spent all the money. And I learned that basically it's not a good idea to have one account when you're going to be taking money for your bills, for things that pop up, for everything. Because by the end of the day, it's like having a wallet. And for everything, you just take some money out, and before you know it, you have no money left. And that's exactly what happened to me. So here's what I did. I made two separate accounts. One was for receiving money and another account was basically for saving money. Those were my two accounts and they were separate, not together. So here's a question. Tommy, why not just have one bank account and have another account within that account? Isn't that much easier? The answer is yes. It's too easy because imagine if you have money in your front pocket and money in your back pocket. When you run out of money in your front pocket, you just go right into your back pocket. It's not hard to transfer money from one bank within the same bank, but from one bank to the next bank, well, for me, it would take about 3 days. And that would give me time to think things through and not do it, okay? So here's a question for you guys. In all of these steps that I basically did, I'm gonna answer a question, but I'm also going to give you guys a question. I want this video to not just be another video you watch, but a video you work yourself through. So the question is, how can you keep more money in your pocket? Is it by spending less and what can you cut out of your budget? 2, is it by trying to make more money? For example, like working more hours? Or 3rd, is it potentially by switching jobs? That's also a possibility that many people don't do, but people that tend to switch jobs every 2 to 3 years, if I'm not mistaken, they tend to earn more money. Number 2, rely on automation, do not rely on willpower. I always had the goal to save $10,000, but many people don't know that I failed many times, okay? Because honestly, my desire to buy sneakers, to buy clothes, to go out to eat, all those desires were actually stronger than my desire to save that much money. So what I did was I created a goal system. I grabbed a piece of paper, I started to write down what my goals are, why I actually wanted them, and why is that important? Because literally, when you don't know why you want what you want, you just want $10,000, whenever you really want a pair of sneakers or to go out to eat, you really know why you want that, right? So you end up just going for the strongest why. Now, the 2 things I did was, when I wrote down these goals, I created 1, a category for all my money. And I created 2, an overall goal for my financial picture. The goal is not to save $10,000. That's just a goal within a bigger goal. The goal is financial freedom. So the first thing was I created categories for my money. 6 categories to be exact. And here they are. You had investments, debt, emergencies, expenses, fun, and charity. Those were the 6 accounts. Now, how did I automate this exactly? Well, when I got paid, I would put this into separate envelopes. So the system, the robot, the AI was me. I physically made those distinctions and I automatically did that every time I got paid. Physically, not with a bank account, physically in the very beginning. And then second, I had big goals. So my first goal was I want to get out of debt. My second goal was I want to save a fully funded emergency account. My third goal was I want to invest and I want to buy a home the right way. I have a full video on that if you're interested. I can't cover it in this video. And the fourth goal was basically I want to be able to be financially free and do many things with the money I have extra, like having more fun or travel or this or that. Okay, that was the overall goal. Now, you may be asking me, Tommy, how would this work exactly, right? That's a good question. The answer was, well, if you're on the first goal of paying off your debt, when you get paid, most of your money is going to go towards, hey, paying off your debt, paying your expenses, and having a little money for fun. That's basically it. It's very simple. It's not a crazy system. It's more simple than you think. Now, here's my question for you guys. What is your why? Why do you want to save more money or to make more money or whatever it is, okay? Ask yourself why. Now, here's a simple exercise. Ask yourself why 7 times. So why do you want $10,000? Because I want to be able to have that security. Well, why is security important to you? You know, and you keep going down until you get to the 7th layer, like an onion, and you get to the real, strong why that's going to keep you motivated when you kind of want to give up, which I wanted to many times. Number 3, have fun. Give yourself a reward. Now, why do I say this, okay? If you notice, all throughout this video, I haven't been like extreme, been telling you, you have to save all your money, every single dollar, just be extreme, get there as fast as possible. And the main reason is because sometimes that might be the fastest way to get somewhere, but it may not be the best. And I'm starting to learn that myself, okay? But the main thing is, I've heard stories of men that have worked 16-hour days, have put all their money into one idea or one business, and they became successful and ultra rich. But you never hear the stories about the other people. The people that worked so long that they left their families or their families left them. The people that put all their money, all their resources in one idea and lost everything. Everything. Okay, so to me, it's not about, for example, getting there the fastest. It's just about having enjoyment also along the way. And I also learned something that you have to be very proactive and purposeful with your enjoyment. If you keep skipping over, yeah, I'm going to reward myself, but I'll do it next month or next month, you won't take yourself serious. Be very purposeful with the enjoyment you give yourself. So for me, you might be asking, Tommy, how much money should I give myself to have fun? The answer is, when you're first starting out, I recommend about 5%. I think 5% is a good number. You can use 5% of your income. You make $1,000, that's like 50 bucks, 4,000, that's like $200, if I'm not mistaken. You use that money, you have fun. But I do recommend, don't just use that money to buy things, but use that money to live out experiences, you know? Instead of buying a pair of shoes, well, take yourself on a date, you know? That's like an hour's worth of experience, okay? So you consider it, you think about it, but once you get financially free, you can do like 25, 50%, whatever you actually want to. It doesn't really matter, right? Because you're already there. So here's a question. What can you do that's fun with 5% of your income right now? What are your ideas? And by the way, some ideas, they're free, but I still recommend spend the money. Spend the money. You'll get there slower, but you'll get there a lot happier. Number 4, always have a backup plan. When I was doing the whole TommyBryson show and I was taking calls from you guys, well, I got a repeated caller. And this lady, she was so excited about investing and she called me. She was like, Tommy, I want to start investing. And I was like, that's awesome. Go ahead and do it. She was like, I'm going to invest all my money. I said, wait, don't do that, because if something happens, you're going to be in trouble. She said, I'm going to do it. Okay. So she went ahead and she invested all her money. And then a few weeks or like a month, something later, she called me back and she was like, Tommy, guess what happened? And I was like, what happened? And it turns out that she basically had to withdraw all the money from her investments to cover her car accident. And I said, well, that's why you want to have a backup plan. Have some money on the side, because guess what? Whenever everything seems to be going good, out of nowhere, honestly, like something happens and things just go bad. So you have to be prepared for the worst things to happen. I think they call that like Murphy's Law, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, so what's a good amount of money to have? Well, have at least $500 to $1,000 saved in that bank B in a separate account in case you have an emergency, and that way you'll be good to go. Now, here's a question, okay? Tommy, have you ever had to use your emergency account? I've had an emergency account for like years now. The answer is yes, 2 times. The first time was when my father died and I needed to go to his funeral and all that stuff. Second time was when we actually had like the birth of my daughter, and we actually needed the money and so on because it was like a complex situation for the most sense. But we rebuilt it and everything's fine. But yes, situations do pop up where I had to use that money. Okay, so here's a question for you. When was the last time you had $1,000 in your bank account without spending it and without touching it, only exclusively for big emergencies? Comment down below, let me know. Number 5, limit claims on your income. At one point, I was making a lot of money on YouTube and also with my business, more money than ever, okay? But I got a little greedy, and my whole idea was, well, I'm gonna use this income, I'm going to leverage it, and I'm gonna make even more money and get richer as fast as I possibly can. Now, nothing ever went wrong. I got extremely lucky. I did not learn my lesson from experience, and I hope you don't have to either. Because by the time I opened my eyes, I had $13,000 in credit card debt, $20,000 in student loan debt, and over $40,000 in business loan debt. Now, leverage is a good tool that many men have gone broke and have lost everything trying to tame. Leverage becomes the master of many, because all of a sudden you might have a high income, but you also owe a lot of money and you have a lot of claims on your income. And for me, everything changed when I read a book. It was called The Barefoot Investor. And in that book, he asked me, do you want to be financially free? I said, yes. Do you not want to think about owing people money anymore? I said, yes. And he told me, well, pay off all your debts. And I said, but what about the points? What about the rewards? What about the leverage? I can make so much money. Then it went back to, you have to make this decision and you have to stop worrying about what you're actually giving up. It's like saying, do you want to get married? Yes. Do you want to live a happy marriage? Yes. But what about all the other women that I could meet? What about all the other experiences that I could have? The answer is, well, what do you want more? And of course, I want marriage. And of course, I want freedom more than that, okay? So I ended up paying all that debt and I have 0 claim on my income, which is awesome. Now, you may be wondering, Tommy, well, what about your credit score? Do you have one? The answer is no, I don't have a credit score. If I want money from a bank, because it's not bad to go ahead and borrow money to buy a house. Most of us will need to do that because the house is way too expensive. But I can go to the bank, I can show them my income and my pay stubs and my taxes, and based on that, they'll build a profile and they'll qualify me for a loan. You don't need a credit score for that. Now, here is a question for you guys, okay? Who told you that you need a credit score? And ask your question, Tommy, does that mean you don't borrow money for anything? The answer is, yeah, I don't borrow money for anything except if I plan to buy a home in the future, and that's the only exception I make. But a car, you can buy a $2,000-$3,000 car and just save for a little bit, or drive around a hoopty for a while until you save up for that money, okay? That's basically it. And guys, that is it for this video. Make sure to go ahead and answer those questions I asked, because that's gonna help you guys a lot. I wish I had someone to ask me those same questions, because it would have got me thinking a lot more differently. And also, if you wanna watch that full video on the Barefoot Investor review, the video is right here. And if you're not subscribed, I know 80% of the people that watch the content are not subscribed. Well, subscribe to the channel, it's free. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time, and peace.